The Austincast. Welcome to the Austincast. I'm your host. This is the first episode in a series of solo casts where I may or may not bring on a guest, depending on whether or not they answer my phone call. Okay, so today's gonna be a bit of a weird one, guys, because I don't know what to talk about. I suppose we should talk about my hopes and dreams. So, when I was a young kid, I used to really like dinosaurs. And all I wanted to do when I was a kid was discover dinosaur bones, and I wanted to be a paleontologist. And everyone thought I was a fucking idiot because of that. I remember in kindergarten when the teacher asked each kid to say what they wanted to be when they grow up, and everyone was like, "I want to be a fireman. I want to be a police officer. I want to be a doctor." I said, "I want to be a paleontologist," and she looked at me like I was a fucking dumbass, because I was. And so I wanted to be a paleontologist up until I was 11. Then I started to develop interest in going to the military, and that stuck with me until I was 17. I actually did try to enlist in the military. My junior year of high school, I went to the Army Recruiting Center, and I walked in with my dad, and my plan was I was going to enlist. I was going to do boot camp between junior and senior year, and then once I got out of senior year, I would have been probably stationed somewhere in Korea or the Middle East. Due to a gluttony of medical complications, that was not an option for me. And then my plan B was law enforcement, but if you can't go in the military, then you can't go in law enforcement. So I didn't know what the fuck to do, and it was my senior year, and I hadn't planned at all to go to college, and I had it ingrained in my head that it's either military or college by the school system. So I figured, well, if I can't go in the military, then I guess I'll try out politics, like international studies. So I did that, and I wanted to move out of state. I wanted to kind of be away, so I figured I'll go somewhere in Louisville, Kentucky, because I have some family there, close. I'll be on my own, still close to family and a support system. So while I was looking at colleges in Louisville, I stumbled across Indiana University Southeast, and I was like, "Oh, this campus looks nice. I think I kind of want to visit there." So spring vacation of my senior year, or not spring vacation, fall, like February vacation my senior year. Me and my mom went down to Louisville, visited some family, and visited IU Southeast. And I liked it. It was a good campus. Everyone there was very polite and nice, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go here. It's the only college I applied to, so I applied to there. I got in because it's a fucking community college for rednecks. And finished off my senior year with my parents going through a bitter divorce. My family was ripping itself to shreds from the inside out, so I was like, oh fuck, I guess I'm gonna be in Indiana now. So I went there. First thing I did was try to make friends. Thing you realize about moving different places is people don't want to be your friend. So I tried butting up to my roommates. They didn't really give a shit. They were kind of curious about where I was from. Like, oh, I mean, they're too stupid to know where Plymouth is. Or Cape Cod, so I was like, oh, I'm from Boston. And they're like, oh, cool. They were like, hey, do you guys get offended if people call you massholes? And I was like, probably. And I bought one of my roommates a pizza for us to share so I could bond with him. He ate 3 slices and slunk into his little slimy room to play what I'm assuming was League of Legends. So I didn't make any friends with my roommates. No one on campus wanted to get to know me. So first week was kind of shit. Second week was a pretty bad week too, because the thing is, when you live next to the ocean your whole life and you leave, you don't realize how much you'll miss the ocean. So the second week of college, I spent the entire time in a daze just nonstop thinking about the ocean and the sound of waves and its smell and the ocean air. And it was kind of an insane week. The rest of the semester goes by. All the academic stuff goes fine enough. Still no friends. Um, and yeah, no friends. No friends at all. I'd go to bed at 7:30 p.m. and I'd wake up at 8. And since I had nothing to do, I got bored of Overwatch, so I just would literally sit on my bed and stare at my wall for 2 hours. No exaggeration, no joke. Just very literally would stare at my wall for an extended amount of time because I had nothing better to do. I tried talking to some friends I had back home, but most of them were busy and really didn't give too much of a shit. So then Christmas came and I came back and I hung out with my good friend Brooke. So that was cool. I had mutton chops at the time because I figured, fuck it, I kind of want to try a new look. Shaved them when I got back though. Got back to Indiana. Yeah, one experimental thing I did in college. Then when I got back to Indiana, I started making a little more friends. I joined student government and whatnot. Then I met a group of girls who I became friends with. Lasted about a year before they called the cops on me for something I'm sure we'll get into later. Yeah, that's how it is. So I finished out first year of college. I was working at a theme park over the summer. Oh boy, fucking theme parks. I operated a baby Ferris wheel 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 3 months, listening to nothing but Thomas the Tank Engine music all day. People in their worst at theme parks. They're tired, angry, and annoyed and regretting having kids. So, if you think fucking working at a supermarket's bad with customer service and work at a goddamn theme park and sure, stop whining. Goddamn amount of fucking. You don't think at a little kid theme park parents would like actually like insult you, like call you like pervert, asshole, fuck, the big fat guy. One woman told me I smelled like her vagina. It's not a joke either. That happened. And then you got kids and elderly people pissing and shitting everywhere. Not a joke or exaggeration either. So I did that for 3 months, and believe it or not, I was excited to go back to Indiana. Something I would never feel again. So I got there, and the first couple days in Indiana were pretty fun. I was hanging out with the friends I had there again, all that cool stuff. Then 2 weeks in, I took a week off of college and I went with my aunt to meet my grandfather in South Carolina. Now the thing is this guy hasn't been around since the 70s. He left. He was out. My father hates him. My uncles have nothing to do with him. My aunt still kind of keeps in contact with him. And I'd never so much seen a picture of him before I actually met him in person. Let me tell you, it's weird. Because one thing I always wanted my whole life was a grandfather. And then, like, I'm at this fucking trailer park doorstep, and out walks this guy, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I have a grandfather. And, I guess, like, he's a very quiet and reserved man. He was nothing from what my grandmother described him as. Although it's due to him being very old, and when you're old, you're different than you were when you're young. He was a sailor, and he got around a lot, to the point where 90% of my aunts and uncles I have never met and probably never will meet. Yeah, so that was cool. I got to go to Fort Sumter I got a cool South Carolina flag and crossed a couple states off my list when I went there, so that was cool. Yeah, yeah. Probably will never see him again. I mean, maybe when he dies, I'll go to his funeral or something, but that's not a guarantee. So when I got back, two of the girls, because the people I talked to there, I never told them anything about me. The only thing they really knew about me was I was from Massachusetts, and so they wanted to get to know me a little more, and they specifically asked me why I'm often very sad. So I told them the truth, and I told them that I had anxiety and depression. And 2 days later, I get 3 police officers knocking on my door. And I wasn't in my dorm at the time. I was actually in the hallway when they approached. So my roommate answers shirtless, and they ask if he's me, and he says, "No, I don't know where Austin is." So I walk up, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm Austin." And they look at me. They look a little bit scared, and they start to move their hands. All three of them start to move their hands down to their holsters, and kind of put my hands up a little bit. I'm like, "Oh no, it's okay." And they're like, "Okay, is there somewhere private we can talk?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's a printer room downstairs that nobody's in right now. We can go there." So we go there, and we talk about the situation. And now I know you may be thinking, "Oh, 3 dirty cops quick to their trigger," but I assure you, all the police officers at IUS were very, very nice people, and I apparently got hyped up very much to the point where the 2 girls I talked to, told the police I was going to kill myself. So, um, and it's also Indiana, where you can get a gun as easy as you can get a loaf of bread. So it was very well within the realm of possibility. It could have been an active shooter situation, which did almost happen while I was there. So yeah, that was fun. Um, yeah, then a lot of drama happened, and the drama lasted months. And then I came back home for Christmas break, worked at Edaville for Christmas. I have no recollection of that December. And then I went back, and that spring semester at college was a fucking roller coaster of emotions. A lot of stuff happened that I won't get into because it's very personal. But I decided that I was done with IUS, and I wanted to try to move up the political game, and that's not a joke either. So I decided to transfer to the IU campus in Indianapolis, and I would also have been working with the Indiana state government, with Senator Ed Clear to be specific, and that wasn't an aspiration, that was what would have happened. I was in contact with him, and I would have gotten a position as kind of like an assistant role for the Indiana state government, most likely with the Republican Party, because that's who I had contact with, and that's the big party down there. Not that I'm Republican, I don't fucking care, but that's just where I would have gotten the most experience. And in politics, where your party really doesn't matter all that much. You can switch parties, fucking Hillary and Trump did it all the time, and shit. It's not a big deal. It's just what you say at the moment that matters. So that was the plan. I left Indiana to go back home for summer. I was working at Edaville, and that summer was also a very roller coaster of emotions due to a lot of family drama, with some legal action that was taken between my parents, and more internal damage to my family. So, spent the summer working and talking to a few friends. Then fall came, or August came, and I decided that I could not go back to Indiana. So I dropped out of IUPUI, and I turned down the position role as Indiana State Government, and then I applied to BSU, Bridgewater State University. somewhere a little more close to where I live, and somewhere that I could try to continue my education. So did that, and within the span of a week, I dropped out of one college and I started to attend another. I actually scheduled my classes the day that BSU started classes, so I I was not ready pretty much to attend BSU, as when I went to my first class, I didn't even know what the mascot of the school was. And you probably can see how that would have gone and how it did go. When December rolled around, I already had been skipping most of my classes for about a month. And when I went to go to apply for new classes, I couldn't due to I owed $3,000, and I was not sure what that was for. So I called and I asked, and in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you need proof of health insurance to go to college, and if you don't show that, they automatically enroll you onto their health insurance, which I had insurance, but I did not know that I needed to show them that, and they never told me that I needed to show them that. So they automatically put me on their health insurance, so I owed them $3,000 for their health insurance, so I could not schedule classes for the next semester. So I applied out of their healthcare system and to waiver the $3,000 because I didn't use it. I didn't need it in the first place. So that happened, and I dropped out of BSU after a semester. And during this whole time, I'm still working at the theme park. So December rolls around, January 1st comes, and the theme park closes for the season. I'm unemployed, I'm not going to college, and I don't know what to do. So with the help of my mother, I began applying to... My mother was helping me find jobs, because I'm not too good at finding those. She wasn't like, I don't know. I was active in the job search, not with some assistance, is what I'm trying to say. So I spent a good amount of time applying to jobs, doing interviews. Most jobs never even got back to me. Pepsi wanted to schedule a phone interview with me, and I replied, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, well, when do you want to do the phone interview?" And they never got back to me. So Pepsi was out the door. Coke said they didn't want me. Lay's turned me down after my interview with them. All these places telling me I wasn't a good fit. The post office, I applied there, they didn't want me. It's all these places. Then March rolls around, and I get a pretty good looking position at a school for handicapped children. I would be a paraprofessional, which is like pretty much a teacher's assistant for special needs classrooms. And that job was as good as mine for personal reasons, that I have a lot of experience in that field. So it was pretty much guaranteed. And the interview went really well. But the day after the interview, the governor closed schools down. So yeah, lost out on that job due to the coronavirus. So the job search went on. Eventually in May, I found a job with Nabisco, which I'm currently working, and having a bit of a rough week at. Yeah. Quarantine. I would say quarantine was such a big change in my life, but it really wasn't. I pretty much did the same exact things as always. The only difference was everyone else was in my position, so yeah. I had a few coronavirus scares over the past few months. Never actually had it, though, to my knowledge. I had strep throat, which I thought was corona, and so I've taken a test for coronavirus and strep in the same day, which is not fun. But anywho, I suppose that brings me to now, which now, at this moment, I am sitting in my room, talking to my laptop while my kitten sleeps. doing a stupid voice because I don't like my regular voice, and I think this one at least can come off as goofy because I'm a sad, lonely, depressed person, and I don't trust anyone enough to talk to them about serious stuff. You know, sometimes I try to tell my friends about serious things going on in my life, and most of the time, I don't think they hear me, or they choose not to respond. Uh, Other times, they think I'm joking, and when they think I'm joking, I get really embarrassed that they didn't know I was being serious, so I continue and I play it off as a joke, and I never correct them, because that would be embarrassing. Yeah. So, I've had a kitten for about a few months, about a month now. She's really cute. Her name's Dobby. Feisty little kitten. She never wants to leave my side. She always meows when she hears me and I'm not in the room. She'll try to stop me from leaving for work in the morning. It's really adorable. It's really cute. Yeah. She's taking a nap. A little nappy nap. She's got these cute, she's all gray, and she's got these cute light gray, dark gray tiger stripes on her side. It's adorable. Yeah. Alright, so enough with the introduction to me. Let's get on to the fun stuff. So currently, I am writing a little screenplay I like to call New Gob City. It's an idea I had when I was driving in my car one day. I thought of this funny thing that I find funny, at least. So basically, what New Gob City is this guy's just basically walking. He lives in New York, and he's just walking down the street one day. He's like on the sidewalk, and all of a sudden, a little portal opens up beneath him, and he falls through, and it closes almost immediately. And when he wakes up, he like lands on the concrete in the same spot, but when he gets up and he looks around, he sees a little goblin there, a goblin in a business suit, and he screams. He says, "Oh, what the fuck is that thing?" And then the goblin looks at him and is like, "Whoa!" And then everyone else is like looking at him, and they're like in shock. And some guy starts filming, and the main character guy is just like screaming and freaking out, and everyone's like telling him to fuck off and telling him go home, grovelophobe. And yeah, so then the video of him going on his rant towards the goblin goes viral, and the entire city unites behind the goblinoid community and villainizes him because of his disgusting behavior that cannot be tolerated in the modern world. Yeah, so I guess I should have put this up on, I made up this fun little word called goblinoid. Basically, that refers to any sort of like creature that's like a goblin, whether it be like a troll, an orc, an ogre, stuff like that, like stuff that you would look at and be like, oh, that's kind of like Shrek, or oh, that kind of looks like Dobby from Harry Potter, or looks like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings, like anything like that. That's a goblinoid. And grovelophobic is the fear and or hatred of goblinoids. Okay, so back to New Gob City. So this guy he freaks out and goes, and he rushes home, passing all these other kind of goblinoids on the street, all who are just normal people. They just happen to be goblinoids. And he's like freaking out, and he doesn't know what to do. So he gets to his apartment complex. He opens the door, and he gets his apartment, and he looks around, and like all the decorations are different. They're all different. It's not his apartment, but it's decorated as somebody else's. And then he hears a guy at the door, and the guy sees the door open. He's like, "Who's in there?" And he looks, and the door kicks open, and it's the goblin that he saw on the street that he yelled at. And that goblin starts freaking out. And he says, "Get out of here! I'm going to call the police." So then the guy runs away, screaming, and then he goes about the city, and he ends up in Central Park, where there's just this large ogre there, and he looks at the ogre, and he's like, "Jesus fucking Christ, man, where am I?" And he sits on a bench and he contemplates, and he picks up a newspaper and he's reading through the newspaper, and it's just kind of like the newspaper is just the purpose to flesh out the world, and then he realizes what's going on here, what the real thing is, and so he looks for listings for like new apartments, so he can try, I don't know, start it new, and each apartment complex he goes to, he just gets turned away immediately because of the viral video. And out of desperation, he returns to his old apartment where the goblin lives. And by the way, the goblin's name is Gibbledorf. Maguire. I believe I have it as a name written down on a document on my laptop, but I don't feel like pulling it up right now. So, yeah, he gets there and he explains the situation, and now Gibbledorf he's a hardworking, good-hearted man, and he can tell this guy is genuinely in distress and needs help. So he says, okay, you can live with me, but you gotta pay your lion's share of rent, and you've gotta learn to be a better person. So they make this deal, and bam, boom, you got yourself a sitcom situation. A fish out of water guy, and a goblin that they need to learn to coexist as he adapts to his new world. So there you go, and then the all other cast characters. Some ideas I've come up with is an episode where it's like kind of like making fun of like just really obscure far right politics, like flat Earth, and the joke, like it's gonna be stuff like that. Like I have like an Alex Jones parody character I came up with, Robert Edgars, and also I had this funny idea of one of the goblinoid I guess beings that exist in this world are frost giants. The frost giants of Jotunheim Borough, and they would be protesting in Central Park, and they would be holding like up signs. They'd be like flat earthers, but they're tree earthers. Like they believe in the world tree, and then like people walk by them and say, "Go home, you stupid tree earther." Like I mean, that's a dumb joke. That is a really dumb joke I just came up with, but there'd be better ones in the show. I'm just giving like an example of like the type of wacky situations they'd get up to, and that I would have. Sorry, I gotta plug in my charger. There we go. Oh, just dropped the mouse. I mean, I dropped my phone, actually. So, yeah, you'd have tree earthers, grovelophobes, and all in the such and the sort. Yeah, so some other ideas I've spitballed are like having a type of drug in the world. It's like cocaine, but it's made by the Groblin Underground, and it's called fairy dust. And it's just like cocaine, but it looks like a rainbow colored powder, like that. I don't know. I'm gonna try to come up with more kind of unique ideas, but I don't know. This is just an idea of kind of that's stuck with me. And most of the dumb ideas I come up with in my car, I forget after half an hour. But this one has been sticking with me for a while, and it helps me get through work. Just thinking about what other stupid shit goes on in this imaginary world. Oh, jeez. Dobby's giving me a weird look. I think she's wondering why I'm doing this weird voice. Don't worry, Dobby. I'll stop talking like this when I stop recording. Aw, she yawned. Yeah, so that's cool. I do I feel like hopefully I won't lose enthusiasm or interest in this. I guess I could call it like a project for me. Because I don't want to be doing this fucking Nabisco job my whole life. And I'm not smart enough for college. So maybe if I get on my knees and grovel and do horrible, horrible sexual acts for long enough, I can get a pilot made in like 7 years. hopefully sooner than that, and then I can just fucking Justin Roiland it. I don't know, just make shitty shows for Adult Swim, make enough to get an apartment or a house and feed myself. Because I don't like working, man. I don't like working, and I'm not talented enough to make it on my own. So, all I gotta do is come up with a good idea, pitch it, have the copyrights, have some sort of copyright over it. I mean, I guess Adult Swim would have the copyright over it, but make some money off of my idea, so I don't have to do a real job. And then when if it takes off, then I can hire actual funny people to do the show for me, while I just shoot stupid ideas at them. So I'm doing literally no work, but I get profit. I make money off of other people's hard work, and I want to be a real George Lucas in that kind of way. And if this doesn't work out, then I guess I'm just going to lift weights, get really buff, and marry a doctor, a pretty female doctor, and I will leech off of her for the rest of my existence, because I cannot make it on my own. Sorry, I keep burping. I was drinking some Coca-Cola here for all you ASMR freaks out there. Yummy, yummy cola. I know none of you are listening this long. You probably watched for 5 minutes and you turned it off, and then you disliked it because you guys are assholes. Brooke, if you put this on in the background because you're being a good friend, then hi. Dobby says hi. Dobby likes her little house. She uses it all the time. Yeah. Someday I hope to be as beautiful as a pretty flower like me can be. Alright, for this next segment, I'm going to be doing a review of Space Cop, a film by Red Letter Media. A shockingly bad film, to be honest. So, I became a fan of Red Letter Media a little over a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, I don't really remember. But it started out with, I was watching the Plinkett Star Wars reviews. They got recommended to me, and I'm like, this guy sounds like Zeus from Gravity Falls. I'm liking it. So much. So, I become invested in this channel, and I, like, non-stop watch all their videos. And I'm like, oh, they made a movie. They made this movie, Space Cop. And, they have it on Blu-ray. And, the Blu-ray's $25, plus $5 shipping. So I'm like, I don't like spending $30 on a movie. But I'm like, I like their channel. The movie will probably be good and funny. So I do it. Not the smartest financial investment, especially at the time I bought it. I was really strapped for cash then, but I'm like, I want to watch this movie. So I buy the movie, and 2 weeks later it comes in the mail. And I watch it. And I find myself, this wasn't very good, but at the time I paid $30, and I'm like, I can't not like this, so I pretend to like it for a little bit. I pretend to like it. I make one of my friends watch it. She hates it. She hated it. And then I come to terms, and I'm like, this movie fucking sucks. First of all, something that comes up with good bad movies is you can never make a good bad movie on purpose. It just doesn't come out. It never works. It's always bad. It's always bad. You can never, it's just cringy. You can never make it good. And this is something that they've brought up on their show before. So I find it amazing that when they know you can't make a good bad movie on purpose and have it work, that they made a good bad movie on purpose. And surprise, surprise, it didn't work. Now, I know it's just supposed to be a homage to movies like Samurai Cop and that shit, where you get your fucking, you have your fucking, whatever that old lazy fat guy's name is, Cameron Mitchell. You get your Cameron Mitchell police chief and your bad action scenes. So I get they wanted to do a homage to that because they enjoyed that. But when you and that would have been fine as like a short, like if they made like a 30-minute Space Cop short and they put it on their channel for free. Like, okay, then yeah, it'd be like Kung Fury. It'd be like, oh, okay, this is kind of funny as a free short film. But not as like I forget how long it is, but not like an hour and 30-minute movie that I paid $30 for. So it's not worth it. It's very bad. And I mean, I like the character of Space Cop. I think he's kind of funny, and I think he could work as a side character, but not a main character. And the movie looks horrible. Like, I don't know what fucking cameras they used, but it looks like a fucking camcorder. It's bad. It's not good. The fucking half in the bags they make now look better. I mean, I know, like, they probably got better cameras, but like the video quality is like worse than the fucking videos. It's bad. It's weird. I don't know what the budget of the movie was, but I'm like how much? Like, you spent that much on this, and like you're hyping it up for. I mean, I wasn't subscribed to them at the time, but I've gone back and I've looked, and it's like I think the trailer, like the teaser, came out 2 years before. Like, you're hyping this up for 2 years, and you made absolute fucking shit, and you're paying $30 for it. You're charging $30 for it. I mean, it's bad. It's just not worth it, bro. Oh god, I know I'm just keep repeating myself, but I'm not scripted, okay, man. I'm not fucking scripted. So they're watching this, and there's like funny stuff sprinkled throughout it, but I'm like, I wish they made a real movie. I would like to see them make a real movie. So yeah, you watch it, and there's, and then the ending. The ending I kind of like a little bit, but it's very unsatisfying, I guess, from a story perspective. Basically, Space Cop's arc through the movie is that he doesn't have an arc, and they're setting up like that he needs to learn to think before he acts. And it's like going through the whole movie, and at the end, he saves the day by just being in a blind rage and not thinking before he acts. He just acts, and then he acts, and he just by chance saves the day. And I find that I find that funny. But then it's like the movie's just like, oh, like it's kind of like anticlimactic in a way. Although the last scene I do like, it's he gets the key to the city, and he's just like, fuck it, whatever, I don't care. That was kind of funny. I don't know. I think Space Cop's fun. It could be fun as a side character. And then recently I watched the movie Feeding Frenzy, which is another one of which that movie is also a homage to something they very much enjoy, being gremlins and ghoulie, and maybe I don't think they like ghoulies, but critters, like movies like that. And Feeders is alright. It does more of like kind of like the main character kind of almost has an anti-arc, but then he ends up getting an arc. I didn't really like the main character in that movie. Obviously, Rich Evans' Blanket is always very, very funny, and I like it. None of them are good actors per se, except for the bitch that plays Nadine. I'm pretty sure she's dating Mike Stoklasa. I think that's his girlfriend, but she's actually kind of a good actress in that movie. She's the only one that doesn't feel like a person that is trying to remember what the script they wrote was. But I enjoyed Feeding Frenzy overall. It's worth renting for $3, honestly. I'd buy it on DVD if they still had DVDs of it available. I'm not even. I did do it. I like it enough. But they'll probably make another feature film at some point, and if they do, I hope it's not a homage to something. I hope they just try to make an actual movie. And I know the last time they did that was The Recovered, and I've not seen The Recovered, but I've heard that it is, from like their videos and shit, that it is an embarrassing mess. But I'm like, okay. I want them to do something that's not homage and an inside joke. I want them to try to make a real movie. And it can be like a corny comedy type action movie, but just something that doesn't feel like a homage, you know, something original. And they can still, like, they can have Blanket in it, they can have Space Cop in it if they want, just as, like, cameos or a side character. I don't know. I am excited to see what they do next film-wise. And it's been 4 years since Space Cop, so we may see it. We may get an announcement sooner than later, although I wouldn't pray on it. Yeah. So that was my review of Space Cop. What else can I talk about? What else can I talk about? I want to get this podcast to at least an hour. Oh, Dobby's. Oh, hey, Dobby. Dobby's starting to be a little more active. So what can I talk about? What can I waste your time with for 19 minutes? How about we discuss Star Wars? Because, you haven't heard enough about Star Wars in the past fucking 6 years. I know, I like Star Wars. I've liked it for a while. But it does get tiring. I don't blame you. But, I think I'm going to talk about my feelings and opinions on it. Because I've never really talked to anyone about that. And so, the prequel movies suck. I like the original trilogy, although Return of the Jedi is my least favorite. So far, pretty standard opinions. I like The Force Awakens alright. I liked The Last Jedi when it came out, but the whole internet argument on it for the past couple of years has made me never want to watch that movie again. And whenever I think about The Rise of Skywalker, I get a headache. Also, my least favorite out of all Star Wars movies is Rogue One, and my favorite is A New Hope. And my favorite out of the new Disney ones is Solo, Star Wars Story, believe it or not, because that one was surprisingly alright. Now, when something that's always annoyed me when people talk about Star Wars is like, you can't have Star Wars past the 3 original trilogy movies, which you can. It's done. It's called the fucking Clone Wars. Now, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, it's not for everybody. The first season is awful. I like the first season enough, but it's not good. The second season gets a little better, and the third season where it starts to pick up. But in the Clone Wars is what I consider to be like, outside of A New Hope and Empire, Clone Wars is the best, like, fucking Star Wars stories. It does a lot of world building. It makes aspects of the prequels make sense. Not all of it, but a good amount of the prequels. It kind of takes those ideas and make a little more sense and a little more believable. The prequels are still bad. I do not like the prequel movies, but the prequel era done by the Clone Wars I enjoy. I enjoy that more than the original trilogy. And it takes all these aspects that the prequels fucked up on and makes them interesting. Like Darth Maul is interesting in the Clone Wars. And in The Phantom Menace, Darth Maul is a guy in shitty makeup. It's just stuff like that. Another thing they do is, in the Clone Wars, they show kind of more of the Jedi as being kind of assholes in certain areas, like Mace Windu. Mace Windu's an ass in a lot of the arcs of the Clone Wars. Especially to, like, Anakin and Ahsoka. And the clones, and throughout the show, it's brought up a few times that the clones are just slaves. They literally are slaves. They're technically child slave soldiers. And throughout most of the show, it's never denied that fact. I can only remember one time where one of the clone characters said that they weren't a slave, but they are a slave. And in Star Wars Rebels, another show done by the same people, a clone character in that show talks about how when he died fighting with the rebellion in the series finale, you don't fucking care if I spoil it, but he says that he's glad that he died fighting for something he chose to believe in, which is pretty much straight up acknowledging clones are slaves. Clones were slaves to the Republic and to the Jedi, quite literally, and were horribly mistreated. Jeez. And then, because then, the reason I bring this up is like when The Mandalorian came out, it's like, see, this is a new, refreshing take on Star Wars. This is something that hasn't been done before, and hasn't been done before in Star Wars. People kept saying, but like, there's a few episodes of The Mandalorian that were ripped straight out of the Clone Wars. Like, throughout Star Wars The Clone Wars, there are 2 separate episodes of the Jedi's training rural villages on how to defend themselves. There are 2 separate episodes in the Clone Wars like that. Maybe 3. There might even be 3. And there's an episode in Rebels like that, too. And then in The Mandalorian, there's an episode like that. And I like that kind of like story, so I don't mind it being in Star Wars so much. But it's funny, because people are saying, like, something Star Wars has never done before, when, like, that episode is, like, the 5th time that story was told in Star Wars. Canon Star Wars, too. I know how many times that probably has been done in Legends. So, like, that, and then, like, delving more into the criminal underground. Like, the Clone Wars does a lot of that. You see a lot of, like, of the bounty hunters and the crime organizations, the Hutts. You meet Jabba the Hutt's aunt in the Clone Wars. And she is a big old bitch. She's huge. She's a big fat lady. Big gross fat lady. It's like that. And I loved The Mandalorian, so this isn't me complaining about the show. I love that show. So it's all that. And another thing is when it comes to Mandalorian lore in Star Wars, especially Star Wars canon, they can't make up their mind. So originally Mandalorians were like just a warrior race, and then in the Clone Wars they introduce an aspect of the new Queen of Mandalore, who also was a love interest of Obi-Wan. She decided that she was gonna make Mandalore neutral and peaceful. So you see, like, she does a lot to make Mandalore a completely new place. So there's no warrior. Well, so she gets rid of all the warrior cultures and shit. She tries to get rid of that, and she brings this new peace, and it works. It works fine. There are some Mandalorian terrorists called Death Watch who do make an appearance in the Mandalorian, and they want to preserve, like, the ancient warrior heritage. So that, and then that escalates to them making a deal with Darth Maul and his crime syndicate to take over Mandalore, so Mandalore can go back to its warrior roots, and then Darth Maul ends up betraying them and taking over Mandalore, and then there's this big civil war, and then in Star Wars Rebels, a TV show, the civil war reignites, and then from then on is where kind of the Mandalorians get wiped out by the Empire, and that's where you kind of get the Mandalorian. But before the Mandalorian, there was never any sort of rule where Mandalorians could not take off their helmet. They took them off all the time. The only Mandalorian in all of Star Wars that did not take off his helmet ever was Boba Fett. On screen, at least. And I know like people keep saying Boba Fett and Jango Fett aren't real Mandalorians. But in the episode where that's stated, it's stated more as like when people say the KKK aren't real Christians. It's like a defensive kind of way like that. Like, they don't want to associate them with that. So even though the KKK are Christians, they're not good Christians, but they are Christians. In the same way that Jango Fett was a Mandalorian, but he wasn't necessarily a good Mandalorian. It's stuff like that. So I still personally consider Jango Fett and by proxy Boba Fett to be Mandalorians. And Boba Fett's more of a Mandalorian, I guess, than most of them that have been in the shows and movies, because he never takes off his fucking helmet. So stuff like that. So like Disney can't decide what they want to do with the Mandalorian lore. and I'm excited for season 2. I'm hoping it's not clusterfuck like all the rumors have been. Because for like a month straight, it was just rumor after rumor of, oh, this character from Rebels is going to show up in The Mandalorian, or this character from Clone Wars is going to show up in The Mandalorian. And I'm like, I don't want any of that. The only returning face I want to see in The Mandalorian from a previous entry in the Star Wars saga is Tamora Morrison playing a clone veteran. Not a previously known clone, not a significant clone, just a standard clone that just was a private or something. He just was a regular clone. Because I would like to see a clone veteran that was not Captain Rex, not Captain Commander Wolf, any of that, just a clone trooper who went through with Order 66. And when he retired, he didn't know what else to do, so he became a bounty hunter. I think that would be cool. A clone veteran turned to bounty hunter. I would like to see that in The Mandalorian as a character. And plus, I love Tamora Morrison. He has a very nice voice, a very, very badass kind of voice. So that's the only returning face I want to see. That. And, I mean, I guess they could kind of fucking fit Ahsoka in for a cameo. I could see that happening, and it kind of making sense, but I don't think they should do it. I think that would be a little too forced. And I love Ahsoka, but I think it would be weird to see her in The Mandalorian. That's my hot take on that issue. So, as of today, Independence Day was 3 days ago. And you can guess what the current state of the world, you know what it's like, especially in America, all the shit going down. And I'm not an activist type of person or anything. Like, I'm too tired and annoyed to constantly post about how fucked the world is. It kind of annoys me when people do that. Like, all their fucking social media posts are like this outrage or that outrage. It's like, guy, it's like, I know. And you posting about shit doesn't, like, everyone that follows you, I assume, already knows. And the ones that care are already doing something. The ones that don't care are actively working against it. And the ones that are tired already know and have already tried and have gotten have not succeeded in that effort. So I used to be a very patriotic person, not in like an ignorant, like, America #1 kind of way, but like, I was proud of America and what America could be. But like, I'm just done, man. I'm just done. I just feel I feel sad. I feel like I just learned that, like, my grandpa, like, committed a hate crime. Like, that's like that feeling you would get. That's the feeling I feel right now towards my country. So the 4th of July, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I can't celebrate American independence and feel happy or good. Like, but you know what? I can celebrate New England's independence from Britain and feel good and happy about it. So I think that's my new tradition. I'm gonna stop with red, white, and blue decorations and go with red, white, and green in honor of New England. And we'll display like New England flags and shit. So that'll be my new July 4th tradition. I know, like, no one else really gives a shit, but I don't fucking care if they don't or not. I do me, and that's all that matters, you know. Dobby doesn't care either. Dobby went back to nappy time. Yeah, that just happened. So before I started recording, I've been watching this mockumentary I found on Amazon Prime called Incident at Loch Ness, and it's a mockumentary about I can't remember his name anymore, but he was in The Mandalorian. He's a German documentary guy. can't remember his fucking name, but it's a mockumentary about him trying to film a documentary about the Loch Ness Monster, and then the Loch Ness Monster shows up, and he's real, and it's very not funny and boring. I mean, granted, I've only been paying half attention to it while I've been doing other shit, but still, oh, I'm so fucking bored, man. Like, I don't play video games anymore. I don't really have the energy for it. Plus, Dobby doesn't really let me. But, like, just no movies I want to fucking watch, man. Like I've been, like, scrolling through, like, Amazon and Netflix and Hulu, and, like, there's just nothing I can find that I'd want to watch. Just lame-o. Lame-o, I tell you. Lame-o. Makes me mad, and it makes me angry, and it makes me hangry. Ugh. But although I haven't really found anything to watch or play, I have started reading The Boys. It was a comic series, but I've been reading like the omnibus of it, like the collection of the comics. The Boys. There's an Amazon show about it, which is how I first learned about it, and I watched the show and I loved it. So I got the volume 1 of the omnibus, and I'm almost done with it, and I love The Boys. It is very good, very cool, people say it's very graphic, but the book so far hasn't been that graphic in detail. Not much at all. Surprisingly, the guy, when I got it out of Newberry Comics, and the guy was like, "Oh, this is twice as graphic as the show." And I texted my dad. I was like, "Oh, hey, I just got The Boys," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I heard that was twice as graphic as the show." And so far, the show has been 3 times as graphic as the book. I'm sure in the later volumes it gets more graphic, but so far, there hasn't really been all that much graphic detail. The most graphic thing in the book is described. Like, it's not like a visual. It's someone telling a story of something that happened, which may not even be true. But that's been the most graphic part so far. But there's 7 volumes, and I put them all on a wish list on my Amazon account. I haven't bought any other volumes yet. When I finish volume 1, I think I'll buy volume 2. And I'll do it like that. And all the volumes, they're like $20 each. So, it's a bit pricey. But, I don't know. I think I'm gonna enjoy the entire series. It's a very, very different take on, superheroes. It's what Zack Snyder wished he could have done. But Zack Snyder would never have done it as well as fucking Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis, that dirty little bastard. I can't wait for season 2 of The Boys. That's not coming out till September 4th, though. So, got the entire fucking summer to fucking get to that. It's like, ooh. I get to waste my fucking... This is the first summer I've had a decent amount of free time in forever. And I can't do anything. Luckily, my state is one of the few states that is moving forwards and not backwards, so I can be grateful about that, but, like, I still get, I want to go to the beach, but, I want to be fairly isolated. Not even just because of Corona, but just, I don't like being around people. And I love swimming, so it sucks. Because if I want to swim, I'm going to have to be around people. And not only is it an anxiety issue now, it's also a fucking health issue for me and my family. But I heard that if you go in the early mornings and late afternoons, the beaches are fairly empty, so I'm gonna try that someday. Maybe next week, because this week I've had multiple very long days at work. The other day I worked 12 hours straight, and the day before that I worked over 10 hours. And tomorrow is looking like I'm going to be working over 10 hours. I'm probably not going to get done till work tomorrow until probably 7. 7. Oh, God. But I have Thursday off, which is good, and I'll be getting a new phone because my current phone is barely functional, which is very bad considering it is an essential for my job to have this phone. So the moment this phone goes kaput, I cannot do my job, and if it goes kaput while I'm in a town that I'm not familiar with, I am stuck in that town because I do not have the GPS to leave. So if that happens, then I'll be fucking driving around that town looking for signs that point to where I live, which does not sound like a fun time if you ask me. Oh god, that would suck. But tomorrow's the last day I will be using this phone, so fingers crossed that my phone does not go kaput in the fucking parking lot of a Stop and Shop in a town an hour away. That would not be fun. That would not be fun at all. Alright, well, it looks like I've made it past the hour mark, and I think I'm ready to wrap up the first Austincast. So, I'm Austin, I've been your host, and go fuck yourself.